I hadn't seen my apartment in daylight for weeks. My life was a blur of lab benches, half-empty coffee mugs, and the glow of my laptop screen at 3 a.m. I'm Maya, a junior engineer at Nextech Solutions, a Silicon Valley outfit where every day feels like a race to invent the future. For 2 years, I'd been obsessed with one project, a battery design that could run whole cities on clean energy. It wasn't just work, it was my shot to prove I belonged in a world that rarely gives people like me a second look. And nobody from a state school, surrounded by Ivy League egos, I was determined to make this patent my way out of the cubicle maze. Last Thursday, I finished it. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the final simulation results. 97% efficiency, cheap to build, scalable to infinity. I'd checked every number twice, rebuilt the prototype in the lab until it sang, and even sketched the damn thing on napkins during lunch breaks. This was it. The kind of tech that could change the world, or at least change my life. I emailed the full package to Dr. Elaine Carver, my mentor, the woman who'd been my lifeline at Nextech since day one. Elaine was a legend. Keynote speeches, corner office, the kind of charm that made you feel like you were her favorite person in the room. "You've got fire, Maya," she told me once, her eyes sharp but kind. "Don't let this place snuff it out." I believed her. I sent her the files, my stomach doing a nervous flip, and waited. Her reply hit my inbox in 10 minutes. "Maya, this is phenomenal. Truly next level. Let's talk tomorrow. Couldn't be prouder." I read it over and over, a goofy smile creeping across my face. Prouder. That word felt like a medal. I tacked the email to my bulletin board, picturing the moment Elaine would march me into the CEO's office to pitch the patent. Maybe she'd even push for me to present at the Tech Innovate Summit next month. My name on a patent, my prototype under stage lights, my career finally meaning something. 3 days later, my phone buzzed with a company-wide email from the CEO. Subject: Dr. Elaine Carver's breakthrough. I opened it, expecting some unrelated corporate fluff. Then I saw the first line. "We're thrilled to announce Dr. Elaine Carver has filed a game-changing battery patent, earning the Innovators Award and a promotion to Vice President of Engineering." My coffee went cold in my hand. Elaine's patent, Elaine's award. I scrolled, frantic, looking for my name, my work, anything. There was just a throwaway line about team contributions at the bottom, like I was some intern who'd fetched her coffee. I sat there staring at the screen, feeling like the floor had dropped out. The details were mine. 97% efficiency, scalable, clean energy. Every spec, every idea, every late night, it was my patent. Elaine had taken it, slapped her name on it, and was basking in the glory. My hands curled into fists, my nails biting into my palms. This wasn't a mistake. This was theft. I wanted to call her, scream, tear down her office door. But I didn't move. I just sat there, letting the anger settle into something cold and clear. Yelling wouldn't fix this. Yelling would get me labeled hysterical and shown the door. I walked to Elaine's office, my face schooled into something calm, even as my insides churned. She was at her desk, surrounded by bouquets from well-wishers, smiling like she'd just won the lottery. "Maya," she said, all warmth, like we were old pals. "Did you catch the email? Big day." "Yeah," I said, forcing my voice to stay even. "The patent, amazing. Congrats, Elaine." Her smile was perfect, practiced. "Thanks. It's been a slog, but worth it. You know how it is. Couldn't have pulled it off without the team. You've been a great help." A great help. The word stung like a paper cut. "Help," I said, keeping my tone light, curious, like I was just clarifying. "I mean, I built the prototype, ran the sims. That was mostly my design, right?" Elaine's smile didn't budge, but her eyes went hard, like she was sizing me up. "Oh, Maya, you're too modest. You did solid work, no question. But this was my vision. I steered the ship. Patents are a team game, and I'm the one signing off. You get that, don't you?" I got it. I got that she'd stolen 2 years of my life, passed it off as her own, and was now patting me on the head like a kid who'd colored inside the lines. Every sleepless night, every skipped dinner, every time I'd chosen this project over my friends, it burned in my chest. She thought I'd just nod and take it. I could have lost it right there. Could have called her out, made a scene, watched her smirk as security escorted me out. But that's what she wanted. A rookie mistake she could spin to her advantage. Instead, I smiled, tight and fake, the kind you save for bad bosses. "Sure," I said, smooth as glass. "I get it. Really happy for you, Elaine." She relaxed, her ego fed. "That's the spirit," she said, already turning back to her emails. "We'll catch up soon." I walked back to my desk, my smile vanishing the second I turned the corner. My hands shook as I sat down, but not from fear. Anger, yes, but also something else. Resolve. Elaine thought she'd played me, that I'd slink back to my cube and keep quiet. She didn't know me at all. I opened my laptop, pulled up every file I had on the patent, drafts, emails, time-stamped code, even a photo of me with the prototype. Confronting her would get me nowhere. But evidence? Evidence could ruin her. I opened a new email addressed to the Patent Office's General Inquiries and typed, my fingers steady. "Hi, I'm following up on a patent filed by my firm. Can you confirm what's needed to verify the primary inventor? Just making sure all the paperwork's squared away." I hit send, my breath slow and even. It was a small step, polite, invisible. But it was the first move in a game Elaine didn't even know she was playing. She thought she'd taken my future. I was going to make sure she regretted it. The next morning, I walked into Next Tech like nothing had happened. My desk was still a mess of coffee stains and post-it notes, but I felt different. Sharper, like I'd swapped my usual caffeine buzz for something colder, more focused. Elaine had stolen my patent, my 2 years of sweat and skipped weekends, and was now parading it as her own. I wasn't going to let her see me crack. If I wanted to take her down, I had to play the part of the loyal protégé, the eager junior engineer who was just so thrilled for her mentor's success. It made my skin crawl, but it was the only way to keep her off guard. I started the day by sending Elaine a follow-up email. "Doctor, Carver just wanted to say again how excited I am about the patent. Let me know if there's anything I can do to support the next steps." I hit send, my jaw tight. Support. As if I hadn't built the damn thing from scratch. Then I got to work, quietly pulling every scrap of evidence I could find. I dug through my email archives, saving every draft I'd sent Elaine, every time-stamped file, every late-night note where I'd hashed out the battery's design. I found a photo on my phone, me in the lab, grinning next to the prototype, dated 6 months ago. Elaine wasn't even in the frame. I backed it all up on a thumb drive, tucked it in my bag, and kept my screen angled away from prying eyes. By noon, the office was buzzing with Elaine's victory lap. I overheard her in the break room, her voice carrying over the hum of the coffee machine. "It's about vision," she was saying to a cluster of engineers, her tone dripping with false modesty. "You have to see the big picture, take risks. That's what separates the leaders from the worker bees." I stood just out of sight, gripping my mug, her words like nails on a chalkboard. Worker bees. That's what she thought of me. Of all of us who'd been grinding while she took the credit. I wanted to march in there, call her a fraud in front of everyone. Instead, I slipped back to my desk, my anger fueling something better. A plan. I opened a burner email account and drafted a message to the US Patent Office, posing as a curious intern. "Hi, I'm researching patent filings for a school project. If someone files a patent, what documents do they need to prove they're the inventor? Also, what happens if the wrong person is listed?" I kept it vague, polite, the kind of thing no one would flag. The reply came that afternoon. A form letter explaining that patents require detailed records, drafts, prototypes, and signed declarations of authorship. Most importantly, Elaine's submission was still under review, and it was missing a key declaration form, one only the true inventor could provide. a form I had buried in my files with my signature. I leaned back, a small smile tugging at my lips. Elaine thought she'd covered her tracks. She hadn't. That same day, I ran into Raj in the lab, a senior engineer who'd been at Nextech longer than Elaine. He was tinkering with a circuit board. His usual scowl softened when he saw me. "Heard about Elaine's big win," he said, his voice dry. "Funny how she's suddenly a battery genius." I hesitated, then decided to test the water. "Yeah, funny," I said, keeping my tone neutral. "I worked on that design for 2 years. Didn't realize it was her genius until the email went out." Raj's eyes narrowed, and for a second I thought I'd said too much. Then he snorted. "Sounds about right. Elaine's been pulling that crap for years, taking credit, dodging blame. You're not the first, Maya." He set down his tools, leaning closer. "Watch your back with her. And if you're planning something, I'm not blind." I studied him, weighing my options. Raj wasn't exactly warm and fuzzy, but he'd always been straight with me. If he was offering an olive branch, I'd take it. "Good to know," I said, my voice low. "I'll keep that in mind." He nodded like we'd just sealed a deal and went back to his circuit board. I walked away, my mind racing. Raj wasn't just a co-worker, he was an ally, someone who could back me up when the time came. For now, though, I had to keep playing the game. The real test came at the team meeting that afternoon. Elaine sat at the head of the conference table, her new VP title practically glowing around her. I took a seat near the back, my notebook open, my face a mask of eager attention. She ran through the usual updates, then pivoted to the patent, her voice syrupy with pride. "This is a milestone for Nextech," she said. "It's the kind of work that puts us on the map, and I'm honored to lead such a talented team." I raised my hand, my expression all wide-eyed curiosity. "Dr. Carver, that's so inspiring," I said, laying it on thick. I was wondering, for those of us still learning, how does the patent process work? Like, who gets to decide whose name goes on it? The room went quiet. Elaine's smile froze just for a second before she recovered. "Great question, Maya," she said, her tone smooth but her eyes like daggers. "It's a collaborative effort, but the lead engineer, me in this case, handles the filing. We make sure everyone's contributions are accounted for." She lingered on that last word, a warning wrapped in velvet. "Oh, okay," I said, nodding like I was just soaking it all in. "So the person who designed it, built the prototype, ran the sims, that's all just part of the team effort?" A few heads turned. Elaine's jaw tightened, but she forced a laugh. "Exactly, it's about the big picture. You'll get there someday, Maya." I smiled, sweet as pie. "Thanks for explaining. I'm learning so much from you." Inside, I was screaming with satisfaction. She'd just lied to the entire team, digging her own grave while I played the earnest rookie. Raj caught my eye across the table, the corner of his mouth twitching, like he knew exactly what I was doing. As the meeting broke up, Elaine shot me a look, part suspicion, part dismissal. She thought she'd shut me down, kept me in my place. She had no idea I was already 3 steps ahead. Back at my desk, I pulled out my thumb drive, double-checked my files, and added a new note. Elaine's lie, team meeting, 3:45 p.m. Every misstep she made was another nail in her coffin. She thought she'd stolen my work and gotten away with it. I was going to make sure she choked on that victory. A week after the team meeting, I was done playing defense. Elaine thought she'd silenced me with her smug lecture about team efforts. But every lie she told was another crack in her armor, and I was ready to pry them open. I'd spent days organizing my evidence. Emails, drafts, time-stamped code, photos of my prototype, into a bulletproof case proving I was the real inventor of the battery patent. But evidence alone wouldn't bury her. I needed to get it in front of the right people, and I needed to do it without leaving fingerprints. I started with Raj. We met in the lab after hours, the hum of machinery covering our voices. He leaned against a workbench, arms crossed, listening as I laid out the basics. My files? The patent office's response about Elaine's missing declaration, her lies in the meeting. I didn't show him everything, just enough to prove I wasn't imagining things. She's been skating by on other people's work for years, I said, keeping my voice low. This time, I'm not letting her walk away. Raj's scowl softened into something like respect. You're playing a dangerous game, Maya. Elaine's got friends upstairs. He paused, then grinned, sharp and sly. But I know someone who'd love to sink her. A journalist, Priya Khan, covers tech for Wired. She's been sniffing around Nextech for months, looking for dirt. You want to tip her off? She'll bite. I nodded, my mind already racing. A journalist could turn whispers into headlines, and headlines could force the company to act. Can you set it up? I asked. No names, not yet. Done, Raj said, pulling out his phone. Send me what you want her to see. I'll make it anonymous. That night, I used my burner email to send Raj a curated file, a timeline of my work, a screenshot of an early draft with my name, and a polite note about concerns over the patent's authorship. Nothing traceable, nothing that screamed Maya. Raj forwarded it to Priya, and by the next morning he texted me. She's hooked. Wants more. Stay sharp. Meanwhile, Elaine was starting to slip. I noticed it in the way she hovered around my desk, her usual charm replaced by something twitchy, like she could smell trouble but couldn't place it. She'd taken to micromanaging me, dropping by with pointless tasks, reformat this report, double-check that sim, like she was trying to keep me too busy to think. It was pathetic, really, watching her scramble to keep me under her thumb. I played along, all smiles and yes, doctor, Carver, while adding every interaction to my growing list of her mistakes. Things came to a head on Wednesday. I was in the lab tweaking a test rig when Elaine stormed in, her heels clicking like gunfire. Maya, she said, her voice tight. We need to talk. I set down my tools, keeping my face blank. Sure, what's up? She crossed her arms, her eyes boring into me. You've been asking a lot of questions lately about the patent, the process. It's starting to feel disruptive. I tilted my head, all innocence. Disruptive? I'm just trying to learn, Elaine. You're always saying I should be curious. Her lips thinned, and for a second, I saw it. Fear, flickering behind her perfect composure. There's a difference between curiosity and overstepping, she snapped. You're a junior engineer. Stay in your lane, Maya. I'd hate for you to get a reputation for causing trouble. The threat hung there, naked and ugly. I wanted to laugh in her face, tell her I knew exactly what she'd done. Instead, I nodded, slow and deliberate. Got it, I said, my voice soft. I'll keep that in mind. She held my gaze for a moment, then turned and left, her confidence fraying at the edges. I went back to my rig, my hands steady but my mind on fire. Stay in my lane? Oh, Elaine, I was already miles ahead of you. The real opportunity came that Friday at the Tech Innovate Gala, a glitzy event where Nextech's elite rubbed elbows with industry bigwigs. Elaine was being honored for her patent, and I was invited as part of the team, a last-minute addition, probably so she could keep an eye on me. I wore a borrowed dress, my nerves masked behind a polite smile, and watched Elaine work the room, all charm and false humility. She gave a speech, basking in applause for my work, and I clapped along, my face a perfect mask. Afterward, I mingled, a glass of cheap wine in hand, and found myself near a group of executives from Nextech and a rival firm. I seized my chance, slipping into the conversation with a shy smile. I'm just a junior engineer, I said, but I'm so curious about how patents work. Like, how do you decide who gets credit for the idea? I mean, the person who actually designs it, don't they usually get their name on it? The group chuckled, indulging the naive rookie, but I saw one exec's brow furrow. Usually, yes, he said, glancing at Elaine across the room. The inventor's name goes first. Why do you ask? Oh, no reason, I said, waving it off. Just learning. Dr. Carver's patent is so impressive, I figured she did it all herself. I smiled, sipped my wine, and let the doubt settle in their minds. Elaine caught my eye from the bar, her expression unreadable, but I knew she'd heard. Good. Let her sweat. By Monday, the cracks were spreading. Raj pulled me aside in the break room, his voice low. Priya's digging. She called the patent office, cross-checked your timeline. She's got enough to start asking questions. He paused, his eyes glinting. And she just emailed the CEO, requested a comment on potential irregularities in Elaine's filing. I froze, my coffee cup halfway to my mouth. The CEO? This was moving faster than I'd expected, but I wasn't complaining. What'd he say? I asked. Nothing yet, Raj said, but he's not ignoring it. Priya's got a reputation. When she smells blood, she doesn't let go. I nodded, my mind already mapping the next steps. Elaine's paranoia would only get worse now, and every move she made would dig her deeper. I'd planted the seeds, and Priya was watering them. The CEO's review would be the first domino to fall, and I'd be ready with every file, every email, every scrap of proof that Elaine had stolen my work. She thought she'd built an empire on my patent. I was about to burn it down. Monday morning hit like the opening act of a play I'd been rehearsing for weeks. I walked into Nextech, my thumb drive of evidence tucked in my bag, my face a careful mask of calm. Elaine's lies had unraveled faster than I'd expected, thanks to Priya Khan's digging and her email to the CEO about irregularities in the patent filing. The patent office had followed up too, asking pointed questions about the missing declaration form, the one with my signature, not Elaine's. By 9 a.m., my inbox pinged with a meeting invite. Emergency review, conference room A, 10 a.m. Attendees, the CEO, the board, Elaine, and me. No subject line, no explanation. I clicked accept, my stomach steady but my mind sharp. This was it, the moment Elaine would face the truth, and I'd be holding the match that lit the fire. I got to the conference room early, taking a seat near the window, my notebook and thumb drive ready. The board members filed in, their faces grim, whispering among themselves. Elaine arrived next, her usual polish fraying, her smile too tight, her eyes darting like she knew something was off. She sat at the head of the table, still playing the VP, but her hands gripped her pen a little too hard. The CEO, Mr. Langston, walked in last, his expression carved from stone. He didn't waste time. We're here to address serious concerns about the battery patent, he said, his voice flat. Questions have been raised by external parties and the patent office about its authorship. We're sorting this out now. Elaine jumped in before anyone could blink, her tone all smooth confidence. I'm happy to clarify, she said. As the lead engineer, I spearheaded the project. The patent reflects my vision, my strategy. The team provided support, of course, but I'm the one who brought it to life. I sat still, my hands folded, letting her talk. Every word was a shovel, digging her deeper. Langston turned to me, his eyes narrowing. Maya, you were on the team. What's your take? I took a slow breath, keeping my voice even. I don't want to cause trouble, I said, but I designed the battery. The simulations, the prototype, the specs, those were mine. I worked on it for 2 years, shared the final draft with Dr. Carver, and then saw her name on the filing. I slid my thumb drive across the table. I have proof. Emails, drafts, time-stamped files, photos of me with the prototype. It's all there. The room went dead quiet. Elaine's face twitched, her smile slipping like a mask that didn't fit anymore. That's absurd, she said, forcing a laugh. Maya was an assistant, running errands, logging data. She's exaggerating her role to, well, I don't know, make a name for herself? I didn't flinch. I'd expected this. An assistant? I said, my tone curious, not angry. Then why do I have emails from you, Elaine, asking me to explain the design? Why is my name on every draft until the final one? Why is my signature on the declaration form you never submitted? Her mouth opened, then closed like a fish gasping on dry land. Langston held up a hand, his eyes on the thumb drive. "Let's see it," he said. I plugged it into the conference room laptop, pulling up a timeline. Emails from me to Elaine with detailed schematics dated a year ago, a photo of me in the lab, the prototype glowing under fluorescent lights, a draft with my name in the header sent to Elaine 3 days before her filing. The board leaned forward, their murmurs growing sharper. Elaine's voice cut through, shrill now. "This is a misunderstanding," she said. "I guided her work. She was following my instructions. You can't seriously believe a junior engineer came up with this alone." Before I could respond, Raj spoke up from the back of the room. I hadn't even noticed him slip in. "Actually, I can," he said, his voice steady. "I saw Maya in the lab night after night building that prototype. She ran the sims, troubleshooted the bugs. Elaine wasn't there, she was too busy giving speeches." He crossed his arms, staring her down. "I'm not the only one who noticed." Another voice piped up, Lila, a quiet lab tech who rarely spoke in meetings. "I logged Maya's hours," she said. "She was clocking 60, 70 hours a week on that project. I never saw Elaine touch it." Elaine's face went red, then pale, her hands shaking as she gripped the table. "This is a coordinated attack," she snapped. "They're jealous, trying to undermine me." Langston's voice was ice. "Enough." He turned to me, his expression unreadable. "Maya, you're saying you're the sole inventor?" "Yes," I said, meeting his gaze. "I can walk you through the design right now, every spec, every choice. Can Elaine?" I didn't look at her, but I could feel her squirming. Langston leaned back, his fingers steepled. "Dr. Carver, explain the core algorithm behind the battery's efficiency, now." Elaine blinked, her mouth working silently. "It's complex," she stammered. "A multi-layered approach, optimizing energy flow through proprietary channels." It was gibberish and everyone knew it. I didn't wait for permission. "It's a cascading feedback loop," I said, calm and clear. "The algorithm adjusts voltage in real time, prioritizing low-resistance pathways. I can show you the code if you'd like." I clicked to a file on the thumb drive, the screen filling with lines I'd written at 2 a.m. over countless nights. The room was silent, the weight of truth settling like dust. Langston's jaw tightened. "Dr. Carver," he said, "you've got nothing to say?" Elaine's eyes darted, searching for an escape. I oversaw the project," she tried, her voice cracking. "It's my patent." Langston stood, his voice low but lethal. "You stole from your own team. You lied to this company, to our clients, to the industry." He turned to the board. "Effective immediately, Dr. Carver's Innovators Award is revoked. She's suspended pending a full investigation. And I want that patent refiled with the correct name, today." Elaine shoved her chair back, her face a mask of fury and panic. "You can't do this," she hissed. "I built this company's reputation." "You built nothing," Langston said. "Get out." She stormed out, the glass door slamming behind her, her heels echoing down the hall. The board sat stunned, but I just leaned back, my hands steady for the first time in weeks. It was over. Elaine was finished, and I'd done it without raising my voice. Langston turned to me, his tone softer. "Maya, I owe you an apology. This shouldn't have happened." Before I could respond, another voice cut in. Miss Torres, the lead from our client, Soul Energy, who'd been sitting quietly with the board. "I'm not surprised," she said. "I've been watching your work, Maya. You're the real deal. I want you leading our next project. Full authority, full credit." My breath caught, but I kept my face neutral. "That's a big offer," I said. "I'd be honored." Langston nodded. "And we're promoting you to senior engineer, effective immediately. You've earned it." I smiled, small but real. "Thank you," I said, and meant it. The board started talking logistics, but I was already replaying the moment Elaine's world collapsed. She'd thought she could bury me, steal my work, and walk away clean. Instead, she'd handed me everything: her award, her title, her future. I'd played innocent, and she'd never seen me coming. 6 months later, I stood in my new office, the Silicon Valley skyline stretching out beyond the window like a promise kept. My name was on the door, Maya Patel, Senior Engineer, and the desk was cluttered with schematics, team schedules, and a framed article from Wired about my battery patent, now officially mine. I was leading Sol Energy's next project, a clean energy grid that could power half the state. And my team, a mix of grizzled vets and eager rookies, actually listened when I spoke. For the first time in my career, I wasn't fighting to be seen. I'd earned my place and nobody could take it away. Looking back, Elaine's betrayal still stung, like a bruise you forget until you press it. 2 years of my life, stolen with a smile and a lie. But that pain had forged something stronger. Grit, cunning, a refusal to let anyone dim my light again. I'd turned her theft into my triumph, and that was sweeter than any revenge. The industry buzzed with my name now, not hers. Invites to speak at conferences piled up in my inbox, and last week a grad student emailed me saying my work inspired her to study engineering. Me, the kid from a nowhere town who'd clawed her way through a state school. It felt bigger than any patent. Elaine, meanwhile, was a ghost. Nextech sued her for fraud and the headlines were brutal. Disgraced VP faked breakthrough, cost firm millions. Her Innovators Award was long gone, her name scrubbed from the company website like she'd never existed. Word was she'd moved to some third-rate consultancy, peddling her old speeches to anyone who'd listen. Nobody did. She'd built her career on lies, and when they crumbled, she had nothing left to stand on. I didn't gloat, not publicly. Didn't need to. My life was proof enough. I'd started mentoring young engineers, especially women and first-gen kids like me, teaching them to document their work, trust their instincts, and never let a suit like Elaine take their shine. One of them, a shy coder named Aisha, showed me her solar panel prototype last week, and I saw the same fire I'd had at her age. Keep going, I told her, and don't let anyone claim your wins. She grinned, and I knew she'd be all right. Then, last Friday, I got a message from an unknown number. Maya, it's Elaine. Can we talk? I deserve a chance to explain. I stared at the words, half expecting an apology, half knowing it'd be more excuses. She'd probably heard about my latest project, or the rumors I was up for a tech council seat. Desperate, she was clawing for a lifeline, thinking I'd be soft enough to bite. I didn't respond, just deleted the text, leaned back in my chair, and smiled. Some chapters don't need a sequel. I packed up my bag, glancing at the skyline one last time. The sun was dipping low, painting the valley gold, and for a moment, I was that kid again, dreaming of a future bigger than my circumstances. Elaine thought she'd buried me, stolen my shot. Instead, she'd handed me the keys to everything I'd ever wanted: a career, a voice, a legacy. She'd gambled on my silence and lost it all. I turned off the light, locked the door, and headed out, the weight of her failure long behind me. My future was bright, and I was just getting started.